like a human suit. SPF 1 million. But what are they doing here in the first place? Daphne, you okay?
Yeah. But I'm not Daphne!
Fred?
Hey, I can look at myself naked.
Oh, brother.
Hey everyone, it's been a hot minute. Of course, as you know, I was off graduating college. I'm done with all that shit now. So I'm back and we have quite a lot of things to catch up on. The first of them being a series I read during my hiatus, Inside Mari. Now this is a seinen series written and illustrated by Shuzo Oshimi that was serialized between 2012 and 2016 in the magazine Manga Action. As for the genre, I don't know, what are we calling this one? Mystery, drama, romance, supernatural. Yeah, okay, whatever. Now, as you know, I am a pretty big fan of Shuzo Oshimi based on his previous works that I have read. I recently reviewed both The Flowers of Evil and Happiness, and I love those series to death, especially Flowers of Evil. So when I found out that one of his other completed series, Inside Mari, was completely available on Crunchyroll if you have a subscription there, I was like, geez, what the hell am I waiting for? So obviously I just went on and I read the whole thing in a day, as you would. So Inside Mari, of course, takes place in Japan and follows our main character, Isao Komori. Now, Komori, he's a bit of a loser. I know I say that for pretty much any series that involves a main character who's not a Chad, so like every series ever. But when I say this guy is a loser, I absolutely 100% mean it this time. He's 21 years old. He lives by himself in a small apartment where his parents think he is attending college, except he doesn't go, and instead he stays home and plays video games and jerks off all day. That's it, that's his life. And to make matters worse, he spends his evenings down at the convenience store, because for the past year he has been stalking a high school girl. So much so that he knows that she goes to this convenience store almost every night to buy a chocolate. And when she does, she comes in, he stares at her, and he follows her home. So when the series starts, it's a night like any other, when he's following this girl home. But oh shit, she turns around and notices him, and before he can do anything, before he can even react, he wakes up the next morning in this girl's body. That's right, he wakes up in her bedroom, in her body. He's like, oh shit, this is really happening. He goes through her shit, finds out that her name is Mari Yoshizaki. So Isao is in a very sticky situation. You see, he's here not knowing what the hell is going on, and we have Mari's parents telling her, it's like, hey, you gotta get ready for school. And he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know Mari. He doesn't know how she talks. He doesn't know how she acts. And when he ends up going to Mari's school and sees all of her friends, they're very quick to pick up on this. Isao, in Mari's body, just makes up excuses like, oh, I'm just not feeling well today, all this bullshit. But there's this one girl named Yori Kakiguchi. Now, Yori is a bit weird because she was never actually friends with Mari, but she is the only one to pick up on the fact that this is not Mari, it's someone else in her body. Isao confesses to her that he is a 21-year-old NEET, and after a bit of convincing, she finally believes him, and the two of them decide to team up to try to figure out what the hell is going on and to try to get Mari back into her body. Now, this sounds like a comedy series, doesn't it? Like, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. And when I first found out what the series was about, I was pretty excited, because I like this type of shit, okay? Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, one of my favorite series of all time. You know, that carpet episode from Gravity Falls, that was some good shit, can't get enough of that. But you see, this is a very different take on the body swapping story, because it takes itself very, very seriously. This is a realistic series. This concept, this story plays out as if it were actually happening in the real world. How people would react, what things would happen. And for that reason, I hate to say it, I did not enjoy this series at all. From the very beginning, it's so awkward. Like, to an unbelievably uncomfortable level. I know the word cringe is thrown around a lot, it doesn't really carry the weight it used to, but by its classical definition, this is a very cringe-inducing series. Now at the start, it is pretty cliche, you know, you're going around, he's like, hey guys, I'm someone else, and no one believes him, then one person believes him, all this nonsense. Going around seeing this 21-year-old dude in a high school girl's body, just going around and trying to talk to people. Oh, I couldn't stand it. I'm pretty sure this was the point, but it was just so painful to get through. That's not everything that makes this series uncomfortable. You see, there's a lot of sexual content in this manga, which isn't new to Oshimi. A lot of his manga have sexual content, most of the time between underage kids, and that didn't really bother me in his previous works because of the context, because it's used pretty sparingly. But things get kind of weird here, especially if you consider you have this 21-year-old going after a 16-year-old from the very beginning, then he becomes her. What do you think happens? It's fucking gross. And I won't say any of the other stuff that happens in this manga because of spoilers, but there are some pretty yike scenes, if I'm being honest. But I can't say this is a bad series. I mean, I was compelled to read it the whole way through. Like I said, I read it all in the day, like 2 sittings. Much like Oshimi's other works, it's extremely fast-paced. You'll get through it very, very quickly. And that's due to the core mystery of the series really being pretty compelling. You know, your first thought is, what happened to Mari? Did she just swap places with Isao? Is she in Isao's body now? And when things relating to that become more clear to them, they're trying to solve all these other mysteries. But the interesting thing is that they're trying to find out all these things about Mari when the two of them, Yori and Isao, really don't know Mari at all. Who this girl actually is a pretty central mystery, and I thought it was pretty interesting and compelling. Despite the fact that the ending is so fucking obvious. Now, I have talked to people who say they didn't see this twist coming near the end, so if you go to read this series, you might not see it coming, but I swear to God, I guessed it from like volume 3. Just once a few things get revealed, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where the series is going. Of course. And it just felt really annoying whenever they would learn new things, and it just became even more and more clear to me. I'm like, oh, these characters really can't see this yet, oh my god. And I think the final reveal came way too late. Like, I knew this was supposed to be the big shocking, jaw-dropping moment, but I was just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, reread the last chapter. But it's hard for the twist being so obvious to really ruin it for me, because I actually really did like the twist. I like where this series went at the end, how it ended. But again, when I finished it, I was just like, was this really worth it? I mean, it had a cool ending and all, had some cool ideas, but Christ, was it an uncomfortable read. The biggest reason for that, of course, being the characters. Let's talk about those. There's only really 2 characters to talk about, Isao and Yori. Anything else would get into spoiler territory. Isao was fucking awful. Like, I called him a loser before. You know, I definitely implied some creepy things about him, but he is the most unlikable main character I have seen in a very long time. You just don't give a shit about this guy. He is so bad. Nothing about his character makes him interesting or sympathetic at all. From the first moment you see him, you want to kick him in the nuts. And as the series progresses, and he starts doing increasingly fucking weird shit, you like him even less. Like, I don't know, what was Oshimi's goal here? Were you really supposed to grow to like this guy? Because nothing that happens in this series makes him seem like a good person. Then you have Yori, who's a bit better of a character. She's not as unlikable. But again, she's just so odd. I know that was the point of her character, but again, like, these choices, the things that they do, just make it so hard for me to connect with these characters. The only reason I kept reading this series, one, of course, because it was Oshimi, who was going by like nothing, but it was because I wanted to find out about Mari. I wanted to find out what this girl's deal was. I wanted to find out how they swapped bodies. That's right, I was more interested in a character that we didn't know than our actual main characters. Like, come on, man. Any of the other characters just have minor roles that are not really worth talking about. So yeah, story is whack, characters are whack, but how's the art? It should come as no surprise that the art is fantastic in this series. I really, really love Oshimi's art style. Now, this one isn't as visually interesting as his other series that I've read, and mostly because of the premise. I mean, this is like a very grounded, realistic story. There's no wacky vampires going around, no panty raids. It's usually just people standing around and talking. But as far as people standing around and talking goes, it looks very damn good. And the only real negative I can think of is that, much like another series that made me very uncomfortable, A Girl on the Shore, the art is so good that when we get into, you know, those pretty sus sexual situations, and doesn't really help out with my enjoyment. Now, one thing I haven't brought up in an Oshimi review before, which I really should have mentioned, is that Oshimi often has multiple manga going on at the same time. In fact, while he was writing this, he had started Happiness. And after this ended, and Happiness was still going, he started a new series, A Trail of Blood, which I haven't read yet. Like I've said before, well, these are monthly series, so of course they're going to look great, and they do. The fact that he has multiple series going on at the same time is, again, just another testament of how good of an artist he is. Like, the amount of manga he draws a month is pretty much equal to that of a weekly mangaka, and his art looks significantly better than most weekly manga. So for his art, he really deserves all the credit in the world, because it's fantastic. So Inside Mary is so weird, man. I've been mulling it over in my head for like a month on how I felt about this series. The core of its story is very interesting. It has really cool themes that I don't want to spoil. It has a really cool ending, even if the twist is obvious. But every step of the way is just full of cringe-inducing moments that made me so uncomfortable. It has a very, very unlikable main character, and overall, I'm just tired, man. I'm tired. I'm gonna just settle here at a 5 out of 10. I don't want to, like, not recommend this series, because I feel like that if you've seen this review and you think the concept is really interesting and you want to check it out for yourself, you should go for it. I mean, you'll know very quickly if it's something you will enjoy. And again, it's an extremely fast read. It's also available completely on Crunchyroll, on their digital manga whatever. But if you do want to pick up the volumes for yourself, it does have a physical release. It's being released by Denpa, which is a relatively new manga publisher. I haven't really checked out those volumes. I don't know how good the quality is, but it's an option if you want to own the series, which is pretty cool. I'm definitely never going to buy it though, yikes. They also made it a movie, because of course they did. As for alternative recommendations, if you want something with a similar concept that is actually amazing but doesn't take itself seriously at all, highly recommend Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. And if you're looking for something that has a similar tone and style to this, but is significantly better in every way, highly recommend Oshimi's other work, The Flowers of Evil. And with that, thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on Inside Mari in the comments below. I'm really interested to see what other people have to think, because I know for a fact that a lot of people really, really love this series, and a lot of other people really, really hate it, and I'm sort of in the middle here. But yeah, anyway, I have a ton more videos to get to, because I missed out on a ton of stuff, so I'll see you guys in the next one.